Dad, I want to come home. I'm so uncomfortable living with this guy I don't know.
Huh? What are you talking about? Don't be silly, honey. Of course you know him. You're living with Mr. Fritz.
But me and him have nothing to do with each other. Why do I have to live at your boss's house? I know you said it was for my own good, but did you really mean that? You brought and left me here one day all of a sudden. Then you had all my belongings sent here? Isn't this all just a little too much? You never even asked me whether I wanted any of this.
Molly, the reason I did this is because I want you to be happy. If you live with my boss, you get to eat luxurious, expensive foods every day. Plus, all of your tuition fees for that elite technical school you've got your heart set on will be covered. Don't you think these are some pretty attractive benefits? I have my debts to think about too, you know, much as it pains me. I couldn't realize my dreams for you by myself. At least this way, you get to live the life you want, right? You understand, don't you, Cupcake? I wanted to give you a life free of worry and financial hardship.
You didn't have to do that. I never asked you to realize my dreams for me. As for the tuition fees for the technical school, there are scholarships, and I could always find a part-time job and save up money that way.
Oh, Molly. What will it take for you to understand? The real world is a lot harsher and more unforgiving than you think.
Anyway, living with your boss isn't worth any of those things. I hate it here and I want to come home. He always stares at me with these creepy eyes. It makes me so uncomfortable you wouldn't believe. I feel like I'm constantly looking over my shoulder and worrying about what he'll do next. Please, Dad, I'm reaching my emotional limit.
Like hell he'd do something like that. Are you claiming my boss is some kind of weirdo? Don't insult him like that.
It's the truth. Please believe me. I don't have any friends in school, so there isn't even anyone else I can talk to about this. I feel totally alone. I'm begging you, Dad. I can't take it anymore. He sends chills down my spine. I'm not exaggerating. He's literally the creepiest guy I've ever met. What am I supposed to do?
Calm down, Molly. Okay? You think too much. How big do you think the age gap between you and my boss is? He's almost 30 years older than you. Do you seriously think someone old enough to be your dad would be interested in you in that way?
Huh? I messaged you exactly because I think that. Why are you ignoring what I say? I love you, Dad. How could you do this to me? What's going on with you? What are you thinking? I don't recognize you anymore. I'm your own daughter. I'm telling you I'm struggling and need your help, and you don't even believe me? You're the worst.
Sorry, Cupcake. I'd love to do something about it, but that's just not going to be possible given my position right now. I mean, I already moved house, which is why you have nowhere to live except my boss's place now.
What? What did you do with the house?
I sold it.
Oh my God, are you joking? That house was full of memories of Mom, and you sold it? You sold it without even telling me.
What else was I supposed to do, Cupcake? I was late on my debt repayments and they weren't gonna pay themselves. Your mom is probably cheering me on from heaven, you know? She wouldn't want to see me struggling financially.
Why didn't you even talk to me about it? Surely that was the least you could have done. That house was full of our memories together as a family. It was the only place I truly felt at home. The only place I felt like Mom was still somehow with us in some way. Why would you do this?
So you could go and live with Mr. Fritz.
Listen to me, Dad. Is there really no way I can come and live with you? Was this really just so you could pay off your debts?
Of course it was, Cupcake.
You wouldn't lie to me, right? You wouldn't hide anything from me, right?
Like I said, you're living there to help me pay off my debts. Listen, the bottom line here is that you have nowhere to live except Mr. Fritz's house. And there's nothing either of us can do to change that. You only have 6 months of high school left now. You do want to graduate high school, don't you? If you moved out now, you'd have to drop out of school. And you'd enter the world of work as a middle school graduate. Do you know what that kind of life would look like? Do you? Is that what you want? If it's not, then please get through this somehow, Cupcake. Do it for your future. You probably just feel anxious because you're not used to living with my boss yet. He's a great guy, you'll see. If you could just do your best to hold out a little longer, taking things one day at a time, I'm sure you'll get used to him. If you don't, and after you graduate high school you still want out no matter what, then I'll consider some other options, okay? I want you to remember that I'm on your side, Molly, and I never abandon you, okay? Molly! Where are you? Hey! Answer the phone now!
I won't.
What the hell did you go and do? I just heard from my boss. He said you escaped? What the heck are you playing at?
What do you mean, what did I go and do? Do you have any idea how much he terrified me? He made me go out to a fancy restaurant with him on my birthday. When we got out, he grabbed hold of my arm and dragged me somewhere against my will. Do you know where he took me? Did he tell you? You know, don't you?
Sheesh, what's the big deal? It was just some run-of-the-mill business hotel.
Which part of that hotel had anything to do with business? I can't take it anymore. I seriously can't take anymore. Everyone has a breaking point, and this is mine. Even just thinking about it is traumatic. God, he's so gross.
Fine. I'm gonna come and pick you up. Can you at least tell me where you are?
Huh? No way am I telling you.
What? Why not? How am I supposed to help you if you won't tell me where you are? I'm really worried about you, Cupcake, so you have to tell me, okay?
You help me? You worry about me? You're the one who sold me to your freaking boss. It's nothing but lies, Dad. Do you actually think it's gonna work with me anymore? I heard everything. About how you said he could do whatever he wanted to me when I reached 18. You said that, didn't you, Dad? In return for him reversing your dismissal from the company and having him take over your debt repayments. You sold him to me in return for all of that, didn't you?
Don't be ridiculous. You don't really believe that, do you, Cupcake? What kind of dad sells their own daughter?
You. It was my birthday today. You knew that when you sold me. I don't want anything to do with you ever again. You could disappear off the face of the earth and I wouldn't care. I wish you at least had the decency to get the hell out of my life before you put me through this hellish ordeal, though.
Get out of your life? You're just being silly now. Anyway, get back to Mr. Fritz's house at once. Your whining is tedious, and I'm done listening to it. Did you hear me? I said get back to my boss's house right now. Can you do this for me? For your dad? Please, Cupcake.
I won't go back, and I won't do anything you say. Someone more important than you or your boss helped me out. It's all over now.
Huh? Someone more important than me or my boss? What are you talking about? I'm your dad, which means I can do whatever I want with you. Is this how you repay me for all the time, effort, and money I put into raising you? With spite and disobedience?
I don't want to believe it, that you don't love me. It was such a shock because I loved you. And I mean, what daughter wants to accept their own dad would do something like that to them? But you know what? I'm actually pleased. Because there's nothing more reassuring than the promise of one's own safety. And I have that now. Bye.
Hey! Just you wait! Molly! President Cooper,
Ah, I see you still haven't been arrested.
I'd appreciate if I could speak to you one more time about the matter of what happened recently. I want to ask if you'll at least allow me the privilege of meeting my daughter one last time.
Mr. White, my old employee. What are you talking about? You don't have a daughter, do you?
Please, sir. Respectfully. But I don't think this is the time for jokes. I'm talking about Molly. I implore you not to believe a word she says. It's nothing but baseless lies and deluded fantasy. She lost her mother at a very early age, and as a result, she's very emotionally unstable and has a tendency to say inappropriate things. That's why I need you to believe me when I tell you neither me nor Mr. Fritz have done anything worthy of criticism.
You were never any good at your job, Mr. White, and you were one of the least enthusiastic employees I've ever seen. In spite of that, I still believed in you for some reason. But I had no idea you were the kind of dirtbag who'd sell your daughter.
Sir, I must reiterate my previous point that I did not, in fact, sell my daughter.
I'm not interested in hearing your excuses. You just said Molly's claims were deluded fantasy, didn't you? Me and my wife just saw her running away from Mr. Fritz, one of our former executives and your old boss, at a hotel. If what she's saying is deluded fantasy, what do you suppose it was that we saw? Baseless lies? Emotional instability?
No, certainly, sir. You make a compelling case, and wow, I must say, you put it so eloquently, too. Truly a man worthy of the esteemed title of CEO. The problem is that the story you post seems to differ slightly from the version of events I myself was aware of.
Do you still have no idea the gravity of what you've done? You sold your own daughter to your boss for no other reason than to pay off your debts, concerned with nothing more but your own self-preservation. Mr. Fritz has already been arrested. I find the thought of people as depraved as you two working at my company quite frankly terrifying, and I will stop at nothing to ensure your total eradication from the company ranks once and for all.
President Cooper, what's going to happen to me? I won't really be arrested, will I? Isn't there anything you can do about this? You know, pull some strings, make some phone calls? You're a very powerful man, after all. Please, allow me to take this opportunity to once again apologize sincerely for my careless mistake 2 months ago that led to our company losing a major client. I swear to commit my life to serving you and this company to the utmost of my ability. Please, allow me another chance to prove myself and make all this go away somehow. I'll do anything! Being allowed the great privilege of entering this fine company was the only thing I've ever been proud of in my entire life!
Give it a rest, you sniveling weasel! You prioritize your own financial well-being over your daughter's physical safety and mental health, and you call yourself a father? She's your flesh and blood. I feel genuine horror when I reflect on what you did. I feel actual insanity in your words when I listen to your groveling, sycophantic brown-nosing after the fact. Entering my company is the only thing you've ever been proud of, you say? Where's your pride as a father?
Well,
You evidently never felt any in the first place. I can't tolerate people like you. And I feel confident in saying that the majority of the other 8 billion people on the planet are with me on that one.
Are you sure this is what you want to do?
Excuse me?
I take it this means you don't care what happens to your company.
What are you trying to say?
Your company's reputation will be destroyed over this. You'll lose your position in society, and no one will want to risk doing business with you again. Because you employed someone like me. There'll be no end to the anonymous criticism and harassment campaigns you'll be subjected to. And you'll be lampooned from all angles. Everything you worked so hard to build will come to ruin. It'll only be a matter of time before you go bankrupt. However, if I remain here, that can all be avoided. You can use your power and influence to prove my innocence against these hurtful accusations. That is, Mr. Fritz did this all on his own after all, didn't he? How does that sound? Do we have an arrangement? I think you'll agree that this isn't a bad offer for you. In fact, I think you might find it quite beneficial. You're a smart man, Cooper. I think you understand what I'm saying. So what'll it be, President? Will you work with me on this?
I see. Interesting.
Not a bad idea for someone so bad at his job, huh?
Sorry, Mr. White, but the only outcome I'm interested in here is one that involves you being behind bars wearing orange.
Huh?
Please, look at this online news site. Hang on, I'll send you the link. Silicon Valley CEO rescues 18-year-old high school student is the name of the article.
Huh? What?
Seems like it's going viral. I caught a glimpse of it on both the local and national news programs too. It really seems to be doing the rounds. No names have been released. So pretty much nothing has changed at the company for me or any of the employees. Did you read the article? They're singing my praises like you wouldn't believe. You should take a look. It's very relevant to you.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hold on a second! This has to be fake, right?
Don't you think the contents are a little too accurate for it to be fake? Not a hint of criticism or a single negative portrayal of me.
This can't be happening!
Anyway, even if my company did go bankrupt, I'd just start over and rebuild from scratch. I am in the very favorable position of having more money than I know what to do with. Not to mention the many connections I forged with key players in the industry over the years. Your fate is already decided.
President Cooper, please! I'm begging you! Please, help me somehow! There has to be something you can do! I don't deserve this!
I'm about to take these chat logs to the police station where they'll be submitted as evidence. Would you like to add anything final before I do? Forgive me for cutting the conversation short, but you're irritating me now.
Please do something! Anything! I'm begging you!
Now it's your turn. I'm selling you to the police.
My dad was arrested immediately after, and he and his old boss, Mr. Fritzl, were sentenced to hard prison time. I was so overjoyed and relieved by the news that they wouldn't get out for at least a few years that I cried. When Mr. Cooper, the CEO of my dad's old company, stepped in to help me, I asked him, "Why would you help me, a complete stranger?" As human beings, our highest priority is ultimately ourselves, and while those around us may be in trouble, they're still just strangers in the end. There's no meaning or merit to be had in helping them, right? Or so I thought. That's what I asked him, almost without thinking. Speaking honestly at the time, I genuinely saw no point in spending my time helping people I had no connection to. Mr. Cooper just said, "I know better than anyone what it feels like to be overwhelmed with gratitude and joy when someone helps you in your hour of need." And with no further elucidation, dropped me off in front of his house with his wife. Initially, it seemed like I'd have no choice but to go into a care home because I had no relatives to speak of. But Mr. Cooper's wife hugged me tightly and through floods of tears kindly said to me, "Molly, you're more than welcome to live here with me and my husband for as long as you need, if it's what you want, of course." I accepted and lived with the two of them for about 2 months. I'm certain it was thanks to Mr. Cooper I was able to stay there. And I'll be eternally grateful for the way he was there for me when I needed a helping hand more than ever. This all happened a few years ago, and now I'm working happily at Mr. Cooper's company, which he renamed and relocated not long after the whole Mr. Fritzl incident. The new HQ isn't too far from Mr. and Mrs. Cooper's house, which gives me great peace of mind in the event that there's any kind of emergency. He stressed empathetically that I didn't have to work at his company out of any obligation to him, and encouraged me only to stay if it was what I truly wanted. But what I truly want is to repay the debt of gratitude I owe to the man who saved my life. I still think about what happened back then from time to time. Back when I had no friends or a soul in the world to rely on, and even my own family couldn't be trusted. I'm so happy now that that period in my life almost feels like a dream. Now I'm blessed with a workplace that's full of laughter, a close group of friends the same age as me, and a new family. I want to continue my life with a positive, outward-facing attitude. Just like my role models, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. Thank you so much.